Hey Colin, this is Keaton Everett with ABC going over your pitching video. We're going to go through and talk a little bit about mechanics, kind of talk a little bit about getting ourselves consistent, most importantly, keeping ourselves healthy and really utilizing our lower half to create torque, to create velocity, and really the lower half is what's doing all the throwing. So we're going to go through and kind of stop at a couple key parts. We'll kind of look at how you're starting, how you're balancing. We'll kind of go through how you're using your legs. We'll stop and look at where you are at foot strike, when that left foot first touches the ground, how you're looking. Kind of look at how your arm is, if it's in a nice healthy position, and then we're going to look at how you're finishing. Alright, so right off the bat, we'll go back here and take a look at how you're starting. Alright, so the biggest thing with how we start, because how we start dictates so much about how we're going to finish. Alright, it's about getting balanced and staying over that back side and breaking our hands to develop that consistency. We want to be able to make sure that we're breaking our hands at the same point before we're starting forward. Alright, we just need to find that timing and make it easy for ourselves. Alright, so right off the bat, you're out of the wind up. You got a little step back, which is fine. Alright, there's a little bit of movement in the upper body. A lot of times on the wind up, kids will get a little bit too big, stepping way far to the back. So there's a little bit of movement. So just kind of try to clean that up a little bit where your head's kind of staying over the rubber a little bit more, and your upper body's not turning at all. It's just kind of your shoulders are staying square to the catcher, and it's just kind of a small little step, and then you're getting ready to roll. Alright, so everything else looks fine. Okay, now we're going to look at your balance point. Alright, so that point of where that knee's at its highest. Alright, so you're doing pretty good here. Alright, we always like to see this knee a little bit over that back foot. You want to be loaded up on that back side. One of the things that we like to see is the glove a little bit closer to your chest. It looks like it's kind of out over your knee, so just kind of bring that into your chest a little bit, and that just kind of helps you get balanced a little bit more and able to time that break, that hands break. One of the things that you are doing is you're just kind of sitting there. You aren't getting your lower half involved. You're not getting down the mound. If you notice, it's kind of hard to see here because your foot's blocking it, but you're completely stiff-kneed in the back. It's like your joints locked out. You always kind of want to have a little bit of a bend, so you're just more athletic. If you're think about shooting a free throw or something, you're not stiff-legged. We just don't ever want to be stiff-legged. Alright, and all that's going to show you is, as you watch here, your hips don't leave this box, but your leg comes down and your hands go down. Alright, what we want to see happening is we want to see those hips get more involved. That's where we generate our power. That's where we generate everything. Is we throw with our legs. So what I like to see you start doing is, once this knee starts going down, once this leg starts going down, once these hands start breaking, your hips are going to start going forward. So right at this point, just think about taking that hip or taking that back pocket and starting it towards the catcher as you start driving that leg down, and as you start breaking those hands, and that's going to get you going down the hill a lot quicker. It's going to generate a lot more power, a lot more velocity. So that's an easy fix, because you just kind of see yourself kind of lagging, and then you just kind of start going forward there. So that's just something to work on, and a good drill for that is to come up, get this balanced position, and just hold this position right here. Again, bend that back knee a little bit, and then just work on just falling forward with that hip, and then breaking the hands and breaking the feet. You almost kind of do it too late at first to kind of overdo it, get a feel for it, and then you kind of try to start syncing it up more. We want those hands to break, the hips to start going, the legs start going down all at the same time. Alright, so that's just something that's an easy fix that'll help you going. Alright, so we want that leg to be down, almost touching the ground, farther out here, so we're not seeing any, so we're seeing daylight there. So that's just something to get working on. All right, and then just staying a little bit more flexed in this back knee. All right. So now we're going to look at foot strike, what you're doing. Okay, so foot strike is right when that front knee touches the ground, or front foot touches the ground. All right, which looks like it's about right back about here for you. All right. So that's your foot strike. The biggest thing here is because your hips were lagging, because you're stiff leg, you're going to see that this back leg is pretty stiff, and you're going to see this front knee getting out in front of your toes. All right, this is just your body's forward. You're not using your legs. You're not staying back, and you're kind of ahead of yourself. In this position, ideally we'd like to see this back heel started to turn over. All right, this front knee starting to turn down towards the dirt. You're right about here, and then you need to stride out a little bit longer. All right, so now that angle changes to out here. So now that foot's out here somewhere. All right, that's just a matter of just because your hips are so slow that you're not able to get down the hill. So just get yourself down the hill going and let that front leg reach out there. You just gotta want to stride down that mountain, power down that mountain, and then you're gonna be able to use more of that lower half, which is going to generate more power. Upper body wise, everything's looking pretty good. All right, we like to look at this angle here with your shoulder and your elbow, which is nice and level, and then this angle between the ball and the elbow, and that's a pretty good spot right there. Your front side isn't flying out too much. It's got a pretty good angle there, so upper half is good. We just need to see this shifted back a little bit here, because you're staying in that back leg a little bit longer, back about here, and then this front knees and front foot's out there a little bit. So that's just a matter of just staying back a little bit. All right, you can just see how you're just out in front of everything and just not using that lower half. All right, ideally we'd like to see your hips turned over in this position before your upper body's turned. So now, and that's called torque. That's the hip-shoulder separation. And so now you're looking at about this position with your head, and then your arms back in that position. We kind of tagged back here. You have a little bit of a high glove elbow relationship, but that's fine. So now you're back here. Now the hips have gone to the plate, and now those front shoulders are going to start going. That back shoulder is going to start turning. So it's just a matter of just using that lower body. I mean, that's the biggest thing is getting those hips involved, and you're going to see a whole lot of improvement in consistency and velocity. All right, but you are sticking your glove really well. All right, that's a good starting block. And then through release, your back foot's just barely coming off the ground. We always like to see that back foot stay on the ground, so that's pretty good, and that's good. I know that's going to stay on the ground once you start getting farther out. So that's a good starting point. And you're releasing out over that front foot, which is good too. A lot of times we'll see kids back, with their head almost completely behind their heel. And so it's just a matter of just getting out over that front foot, which you're doing good too. So, I mean, all in all, upper half is pretty solid. You're under control. You're just not using that lower half, and you're just kind of and because you're not using that lower half, that upper body's just getting ahead of that lower body. So it's just a matter of staying back, staying through your legs more, and then letting everything work. Get yourself down the hill, and everything's good. It should be a pretty easy fix for you. So, anyways, thanks for coming out to camp. Hope you had a great time. We look forward to seeing you again with ABC, and hopefully you're having a great season.